Gentlemen, and welcome to another segment of Asaph Cafe. This is the show where every week I invite a guest on and we just listen to piano music and talk. My two guests for today, Mike has already been with us once before. He was on the very first episode that we did of the show, Mike McAdams, and this time I invited his father, Milton McAdams. So they're both going to join me today as we enjoy a cafe, listen to piano music, and talk. And I'm going to start out with the traditional Burt Bacharach's "This Guy's in Love with You," which seems to be a song I play all the time. Maybe it'll be a theme song in the future, who knows. That's such a fun song to play. I must have played it probably hundreds of times by now at this point in my life. But it's always a delight to play it. So, you guys have any particular requests you want to hear at the moment?
No, I don't.
You ask him.
Anything else by Bacharach?
Alright, let's have fun. Let's have fun with Dionne Warwick. I'm gonna do You Know the Way to San Jose?
Yeah.
You guys just relax and make yourself at home and I'll just try to entertain you. Goodness. It's been a while since I've done that one. Let me try that again. That's one of the fun things about this show. You know, you just make a mistake, you can start over.
Sure.
can see, it's been a while since I've done that.
Sounds pretty good.
Well, thank you, sir. Thank you. And you know, one of the reasons I invited you personally on this show, because I know you weren't feeling well the other day, and I'm glad you're feeling well now. So this is a
Thank you.
great way to have some fun here. And we got lots to talk about on this show today. But first, let's ask you, what's your favorite kind of music? You have any favorite music?
Well, I like classical or semi-classical
Mm-hmm.
music.
The only thing with classical music, like I usually tell people, there's not always a big demand for it.
That's true.
Like on cruise ships
Yeah.
and hotel settings. And I demonstrated this with Mike. If you're on a cruise ship, you're not going to want to hear something like this.
No.
You know, it's just not going to work.
Not fitting.
See what I mean?
Yes.
Now, I like the music of Rachmaninoff. I think he's a fine composer, but
Well,
these
then
days...
the people on the ship would get excited and they would think that, it's about ready to sink.
Probably listen to something like that.
Yeah.
But people like to listen to Sinatra. I call it the Sinatra dinner music. And
That's all right.
Yeah, let's listen to Old Blue Eyes.
yeah, I was going to do that, but in case people are watching, the name of that show is called The name of that song is The Prelude in C-sharp minor by Rachmaninoff. That's the
Yes.
introduction to it. And of course, it would sound a lot more better and effective playing on a regular grand piano than these
Oh, yeah.
electronic grands. But even still then, you want to play the music that's appropriate for your audience. So
That's right.
playing Rachmaninoff just won't cut it, or the rock, as
No.
he's called. The rock. But we can do some Sinatra, so I'll do Night and Day. Sinatra's Night and Day.
Do you know this one, The Impossible Dream?
Sure, I'll be happy to do that. I always think of Jim Neighbors when...
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know if our viewing audience will remember Jim Neighbors, the actor that played Gomer Pyle, but he sang that song a lot, The Impossible Dream. I'll give you my version of it. The Impossible Dream.
Yeah, I knew that's one of his favorites.
Do you know the name of the musical to that?
Oh, of course, Man of La Mancha.
Yeah, Man of La Mancha, and that's The Impossible Dream from that.
Do you know anything of the theme of the Man of La Mancha?
It's been a while since I've seen the entire film all the way through, but that song sticks out to me, The Impossible Dream. In fact, when I was at Loyola Marymount University, that was their theme, The Impossible Dream.
Wow. Okay.
Well, see, what it was is Loyola had got into the NCAA playoff that year. This is back in 1980, and they were playing against Arizona State and Tempe. And so since Loyola won to get to the playoffs, that was their theme at the Loyola Marymount University. So when they went to Tempe, Arizona, they held on to that theme in the NCAA playoffs that particular year.
Very good.
And they invited me to go along with it. And I did the music for that at the time on behalf of Loyola. Unfortunately, they didn't win that game of the NCAA playoff, but that was their theme song, The Impossible Dream.
Good.
Because that school, it's well, I don't know about now in 2014, but at that time was such a tiny little Catholic school, and they weren't expected to get in those playoffs at all that year, and they did. That little old Loyola. So that's why they were known as The Impossible Dream.
Yeah.
When I was in sports, it's really amazing how the coach will set up a situation to win a game just by a number of techniques that you can do when it seems like you're going to lose.
Yeah.
For sure. And then they go to a special teams kind of setup and they practice a certain situation where you can beat them. When, say like in basketball where you're doing a free throw, and then the shooter deliberately misses the basket so the guy on your side of the team can catch it and then shoot a real one. And then that was enough to win the game. See, because a real shot is 2 points, whereas a free throw, with a foul, is 1 point.
Yeah.
See, I mean, there's these weird techniques, and when I was in sports, we had like the best coaches, and they had all that stuff down. Where even in football or something, where like a cheating on a kickoff after you made the goal in football, and then you kicked the ball, almost perfectly sideways, but it has to pass the rules. And then you recover it.
Cool.
And weirdo stuff.
Yeah.
Where you're gonna lose if you don't do this, and then there's a chance. That kind of reminds me of that song, The Impossible Dream, and you were talking about it. Well, coaches can, you can practice certain situations like that. So you got it down, so and then you end up winning the game.
Yeah,
But,
well, in here it's 2014 now, so I'm sure things are different at Loyola, but when I was there, it was just probably totally different than today.
Well,
they had no marching band there at the time, there was no pep band, nothing.
Yeah.
It was just, when they had their basketball games, they didn't even have a national anthem, and that's how I got started. I got permission to do the national anthem, and then they started invited me to do their events, and then when they won that NCAA playoff, that's how I got to go along with them. So but that was a fun time, and that was before I had met Bumps Blackwell. That was pre.
Yeah, that's really amazing.
Bumps,
You're really privileged to study under Bumps. I mean,
yeah,
that is an impossible dream right there.
Yeah, I know, because you probably know Bumps Blackwell. He was Little Richard's manager.
Okay.
And he wrote that song "You Send Me" that Sam Cooke made famous.
That
guy was my teacher.
Oh,
But this was before. I was at Loyola first, and then Deetra Cannon was a student there at the time. She was personal friends with Bumps, and she's contacted, you got to hear Asaph, this guy can play.
And then Quincy Jones, he studied with Bumps.
Yeah, and then, but see, when I studied with Bumps, I was one of the last people, obviously, because I was like in my early 20s, and he was like already in his 60s then. So that's how the whole thing started with me. Loyola first, then studying with Bumps, and I studied with him for 3 years. And
was that a big surprise to be in LA or something for the first time?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, no
My
kidding.
best friend in high school was a student at Loyola, so that's how I got to get started. I hung out with him in his dorm room. And my
Well, you were
original,
lucky that he was there to help you.
well, yeah, I grew up with him, and so he said, okay, Asaph, just come on down, just hang out here. And I got to know some of the students on campus when I was doing my early works there. And that's how I got started. That's how I got started in music, actually, too. Seriously, that's how my career started. Loyola Marymount University, I played there for 5 months. Then I studied with Bumps Blackwell for 3 years. And we studied composing, arranging, writing, preparing for, the show business world and performing and all that.
Counterpoint.
We covered everything, especially in popular music. And it got to the point where I was charting out their music for the clients he had at that time, and then they'd go into the old-fashioned recording studios that they used to have. When they had those big quarter-inch ones before the computers came out.
You had the big tape.
Yeah, and I used to chart out all the music, and they'd be in the studio, and I'd be behind the glass watching them when they had the old-fashioned studio equipment. And that's how those are some fun years as I got started.
Digital disc is way better,
Well, yeah, of course, but at that time they still had all that, so...
Well, yeah, the disc didn't even exist.
No, not
back
at
then.
that time.
So, the tape would break or something, or either.
Yeah, they had those, they call them quarter-inch reel-to-reel tapes that they used to use in the recording studio. And
Yeah.
Bumps used to record on those, and so I
They
kind of
had-
have to tell into that.
They had the ability, though, in the 30s and 40s to make an excellent recording.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they just didn't do it with every kind of musician.
That's right.
But they well, of course, it would not be as good as digital, but nothing is. But, they had that, if you had a good engineer and he knew what he was doing, you could make an excellent recording.
Mm-hmm. That's the way it was then, but now we have the computer stuff, so it's just...
Computer stuff.
It's just so much easier to record things and keep track of things. Like my new show that's coming out here next Wednesday. And I have a brand new television show called Music with Asaph. It's a remake update of the Lawrence Welk Show, and that airs this coming Wednesday, October 29th, on this MCAT station, channel 189 and 190. And if you don't have it on your charter service, you can go to mcat.org and click Watch Now and see the show.
What time is that going to be on?
9 o'clock our time,
PM.
Montana time, Mountain Standard Time. 9 o'clock p.m. this coming Wednesday. And they mentioned it on the Montana Grapevine, PBS, this morning, that show's on its way out. So that'll be kind of fun.
Be there or be square.
That's it. Well, I'm attempting to make this show into a nationwide show where I can do it on a weekly basis. And I'm hoping NBC or ABC will pick it up. Then I can do those elaborate sets like the Liberace show and start showcasing folks. So that's my goal for that show. And they put on the screen this morning the new Lawrence Welk show. It's Music with Asaph, update Lawrence Welk. So it'll be most interesting, and I'm hoping people tune in and see that.
So, Asaph, what kind of old musicians from the 30s and 40s that my dad can recognize with you and I can't?
Well, let's see. All right, let's try this song here and see if your father can figure it out here.
And I won't know what you're talking about.
Probably not. We'll see. I won't do the whole thing, just a piece of it to give you an idea. Play like Name That Tune.
Something like I'll see you in my dreams.
Yeah, that's it. So who wrote it?
Yeah.
It's called Sentimental Over You, Tommy Dorsey.
Oh, okay.
Did you recognize the melody?
Oh, sure. I think of it as I see you in my dreams.
Well, maybe they did use that title too, but I know it by Sentimental Over You.
Well, was there a
Senti-
vocal to
sure.
it? Or?
There
Oh,
probably was, but
Yeah.
Tommy Dorsey, I think, introduced that version on his trombone to the world. And I assume they can go on YouTube these days and look up Sentimental Over You, Tommy Dorsey, and see the entire thing.
Yeah.
I would assume
I'm
so.
sure that title is more correct.
Probably, yeah, and I think didn't they use that song during World War II or before World War
Oh,
II?
yeah.
I think it was.
In World War II.
Yeah, it was just a beautiful trombone solo, and Nobody plays trombone like that anymore.
No.
I mean, I'm not a trombone player. I don't know anything about the instrument, but
you
don't
should have
hear.
been with James Brown.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's a true story. I got to meet James Brown once years ago. He knew that Bumps was my teacher, and I think that's how I got to talk to him. Hey man, Bumps is your teacher. I'm like, yes sir, Mr. Brown, he's my teacher. And I don't do any James Brown impersonations, obviously. But he was looking for a trombone player at that time. He said, hey man, you know how to play trombone? I said, no sir, I'm afraid I don't. And I kept thinking to myself, boy, I wish I could play the trombone in 2 minutes or less.
Yeah.
I would have taken that job just like that. Imagine playing with James Brown? Wow.
Yeah, it would have been pretty hard to play for him because what was that like? Didn't you say if you were late or something for
That's
practice
the story
or
I heard.
rehearsal, man, you were.
Yeah, he would
You're-
fine his musicians if they were late for practice.
Okay.
You're in trouble, man.
And I think that would explain why his group was so tight.
Yeah.
Oh, they were really
So-
tight. Jeez.
Yeah, he had a very rhythmic, tight band, and I think with all the rehearsals and just the discipline that he probably used in that organization at the time.
Yeah, you could tell that he was very well disciplined when they had to bring the cape.
Yeah, I got to see that show that night with that cape. It was fun. He'd be up there crying.
Yeah, he'd cry and they put the cape around.
And the guy would come out on stage and put the cape on, and he'd get up like Superman. All of a sudden, he'd start dancing and singing again.
Or wouldn't he just throw it off,
Or throw it off of it.
And then the band come in,
Yeah, let's have fun with that.
That was really crazy. You, well, that
See,
brings
that's not
back,
the same as a real
yeah, it's
band
just,
doing that.
the drummer, and then the horns,
Mm-hmm.
that was really cool.
Yeah, but I
Yeah.
did see James Brown in real life, and I got to talk to him, and he did offer me a job once, but it was the wrong instrument. But
Trombone, yeah.
I had to turn it down. But
Well, you better
it was
know how to
fun.
play trombone. You
was
better learn how
fun.
to play it in a couple of seconds.
Oh well, if it were physically possible to play the trombone in seconds, I would have taken that job right on the spot and
Sure.
said to my mom, "See you, Mom, I'm out of here. I'm going on the road with James Brown."
Yeah.
I would have taken that in a quick, skinny minute,
Of
as the old
course.
saying goes.
Wasn't there a running back or professional football named James Brown too?
Yeah, I think it's that,
Yeah,
that
there's-
announcer on CBS now,
Yeah.
the African American announcer.
Yeah, when you get
Yes,
older
sports.
and gray, you could become an announcer after your.
Well,
Athletic
I would
career is
imagine
over
that
with.
pays well too. That
Sure.
those kind of jobs with CBS. And so, see, that's why I hope that my show, the updated The Lawrence Welk Show, will make it, because then I'll be able to make elaborate sets and probably
Sure.
pay people a decent wage to help me to produce these shows.
Have money to spend.
Yeah, but I have some pretty good performers on the show, and I'm going to show you guys those pictures after this taping is over. And we got about 15 minutes left to go. See how quick time went?
Okay.
But on this new updated The Lawrence Welk Show, Louise Bundy, I don't know if you know her.
I've heard her name.
Yeah, the lady that works at the Doubletree Hotel.
Sure.
Well, anyway, she's the hostess of this program, and she did a little ballerina,
Oh,
because she's a professional ballet teacher, so she
Yeah, it's
did a
great.
little
You gotta.
ballerina
very
stuff.
good.
She did that while I was playing this theme song here. I won't do the whole thing, but you'll hear it. Nadia's thing. She did her ballet
yeah.
while I was doing this here. naughtiest thing. But anyway, as I was playing that song on this new Lawrence Welk show, Louise had her ballerina outfit on. I'll
Okay.
show you that in a little bit.
Oh, it's really
And
great.
she was on
Yeah.
her tippy toes for real.
That was
While I was
cool.
playing that. And then we had some other performers on the show. Joe Sullivan, the young man that stayed with me over the weekend, he drove all the way from Billings to here to be part of that show. And Robin Elaine Dent and her friend Chris Foster, they were part of the show. And
Good.
Robin did this update of Dean Martin's Sway. She changed like the not the lyrics necessarily, but the arrangement of the song, and she did her little tricks and verses on it, which is something Bumps taught, that you can take and rearrange the song, it'll still be the same song.
Sure.
And so she did her updated version, and Chris Foster did like this flamenco style song while Luis was sitting next to him. You'll see those pictures in a bit. And it was cool. And then my featured performer was a young woman named Maya Wynn, 17 years old. She had these wings on, like I was talking about, these big pair of wings on. And she did an update of that song by The Cars. Oh gosh, what's the name of it? I can't think of the title, but you'll recognize the melody. She had the wings on, and she did this updated Cars version song by that group, and it worked. Because, you know, we're looking for like modern songs in the Lawrence Welk style, so what
Yeah.
Maya did was perfect. And
Were you that far along and ahead in music when you were 17?
not quite,
Yeah,
not
she's pretty-
professionally. When I was 17, I was doing my student teaching, so. But she's in Florida, Virginia right now doing a movie, from what I understand.
Yeah, she's
She's
really,
17 years old. Yeah, she can sing, and you'll see that in a bit. I'll show you some of
that's
that.
pretty impressive.
Yeah, Maya Wynn, I think she's going to have a pretty good career. She's got a big following on YouTube right now that you can see her concerts and her videos and things like that. And I'm sure she'll take the world by storm by the time that girl gets to be about 20 or 21.
Jeez, you know,
She's
isn't that
doing it now
crazy?
at 17, so
Yeah, should be well on the way.
I think so by then. And she was part of the show too, so between her and Luis and all the other people that we had on this new show, I think it's going to work. And we'll find out Wednesday. We got the Bubbles on the program, just like Lawrence Welk. And you know, the real Bubbles showed up on camera.
Oh,
Yeah, we had a bubble machine behind this pillar next to the piano. And so when we were rolling the cameras, they were shooting the bubbles for real. And you
All
can
right,
see it on
yeah.
camera, but then it started, the bubbles, the liquid started getting on the piano, and it was making the piano slippery, and then
Turn it off.
the machine
Yeah.
was like getting noisy, so we had to turn it off. But I think enough real bubbles were captured that they can insert the other bubbles throughout
Sure.
the program. And that's how we'll do it. And there's no copyright issues with the bubbles at all. In fact, one of the early Lawrence Welk shows talked about another performer in his time that used bubbles also. It's just like Liberace, by the
Yeah.
time he did the Candelabra, it took off with him. So with Lawrence Welk was the bubbles. So we had to check that. There's no copyright issue, so we're going to have bubbles on the program. And we're doing everything that Lawrence Welk did. The only difference is just more modern music. And so Maya and Joe and all those people, they did all that. And Joe did one Miles Davis tune called Round Midnight. He did this soulful, bluesy version on the piano. And
Right.
it was nice. So if I can get a copy of that show in advance by tomorrow, then I'll be able to show it to you in advance. And then it'll air this Wednesday. And once again, ladies and gentlemen, the information on this show, it's called Music with Asaph, a remake of the Lawrence Welk show. It's a remake update. And we had the Honorable Mayor John Ingen on this program, and Joe Sullivan, as I mentioned, Robin Elaine Dent, and Chris Foster, and featuring Maya Wynn. So we hope you'll tune into this new show. It will air this Wednesday, October 29th, 9 o'clock Montana time. If you have charter service, you can see it on the MCAT channel 189 and 190. And if you don't have that or don't have it on your cable, just go on your laptop or your computer to mcat.org and click Watch Now, and you should be able to see it. So we're hoping everybody will tune into this new Lawrence Welk show, and we'll see how it goes. It's already on the Montana Grapevine, the PBS channel, they have an
Yes.
advertisement for
I've seen it.
And I'll probably be looking out for it later on today.
Yeah.
So, let's have fun with a classical piece before we conclude. We got about 5 minutes left. I'm going to play the Prelude in C by Johann Sebastian Bach.
Oh, good.
Prelude and C. You know, those kind of songs are not as easy, I mean, they're not easy to play on these type instruments.
Yeah.
Because these keys are very hard to push down, these electronic keyboards. But that was the Prelude in C, and anyway, getting back to what we were talking about, that Lawrence Welk show, we had some pretty good music on it, and I think you'll be pleased with it.
Yes.
And I think Mayor John was a good sport to be part of this show, and I had mentioned this before, he's sort of like a butler on the show. Because, you know, remember when Dean Martin would slide down the pole on his show?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we had this door, and I'll show it to you in a little bit, we had this door with these little stairs, and so Mayor John was standing near the door, and he would open the door as each performer came out before they did their song, so that was so fun to have him on the program, and of course Luis and all the other people that were part of the show, so I think it'll be a fun show. You know, I think we need that kind of entertainment again, don't you think?
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
You know, that kind of family, clean, wholesome kind of television?
Plus you can
Yeah.
educate people in music, you know. That.
Yeah, even though we're doing more modern stuff like Neil Diamond songs and Cyndi Lauper and Madonna and all the rest, and even they're kind of archaic in comparison to some of the new stuff that's out today.
Sure.
So my goal is to just bring another wholesome show. And I'm not picking on all the other shows. Like, you know, you look at the music shows and the award shows, and it's pretty much the same. Everybody's half-dressed. And I'm not going to say that's wrong. I'm just saying that just seems to be the style.
Yeah.
So I want to try to take a different approach with this new Lawrence Welk show and keep it in that Lawrence Welk fashion. Get the elaborate sets, the gowns, the suits. And you notice how everybody, like in the band, they all wore the same color suit?
Yes.
You know, stuff like that. I want to bring all that back. Just that kind of entertainment. I want to make a show where you can have your 5-year-old grandchild watch it and not be concerned. So I'm not picking on these other shows. It's just, I think that people are looking for this type of entertainment. And my name lit up the Twitter board a few days ago.
How many people are?
I don't, they didn't say, I got an email from the Twitter organization. They were saying, Asaph, your name's lighting up the board with this new Lawrence Welk show. And I had posted a picture with the mayor on it too. That might have had something to do with it, so we'll just see what happens.
Well, the mayor spiced it up.
Well, I think every
Yeah.
performer spiced it, not just the mayor, but Louise, she was looking very lovely,
Sure.
especially, she had two different gowns on the same program, plus her ballerina outfit, and the second gown, the black one, which you saw, she looked really lovely in that, and of course Maya with her age too, and her outfit with the wings, and she played the ukulele that Tiny Tim used to play first,
Oh,
the
no.
first two
boy.
songs. But she wasn't doing that comedy stuff, she was playing real...
Yeah, she was playing it.
Yeah, really playing the ukulele while singing, and then she came out with her regular sized guitar later on when she did her third song, so that was kind of fun, and kind of fun, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Poor choice of words, but all these people, I think, made this show what I think it's going to become. And so after this show airs, we'll just see what happens. And if it gets picked up by the major network, I want to do the shows here from Missoula and showcase folks, not only in the city of Missoula, but outside and out of the state, and
Well, it would be nice if you could
see what happens.
get Jenny.
Jenny Fleming?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm working on that. I've got plans for her. Jenny, if you're watching, you're invited to be part of this new Lawrence Welk show, and I'm going to send her an email later on today, like we talked about, to give her some more updates. So it's time to wind down, and again, my guest is Mike McAdams, and his father, Milton McAdams. And I'm going to play one last final song, one half of a song as we're closing, and again, the new Lawrence Welk show, it's called Music with Asaph, a remake update of the Lawrence Welk show, and it airs this Wednesday, October 29th, 9 o'clock Montana time, on the MCAT channel, channel 189 and 190, and if you don't get that or get it on your charter service, go to MCAT, M-C-A-T, MCAT.org and click Watch Now at 9 o'clock our time, and you should be able to see it. And what's cool is this show is going to be seen all around the world on the computer, but I still want to try to get it onto regular television if possible.
Sure.
So, we'll see what happens. Tune in, same bat time, same bat channel. I don't think anybody's going to remember that. That was from the old Batman television series with Adam West.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, they have more fancy Batmans these days now than
Yeah.
when Adam West was doing it. But, when I was a little boy, my brother and I used to watch that. Well, actually, when I was in the first grade, and my brother was in kindergarten when that show was in its heyday, and it came on 8 o'clock in Sacramento at that time, and my mom used to sit us to bed right at 8, so I was like, Mom, let us watch Batman real quick. And sometimes she would say yeah, and sometimes she would say no, so when she said no, my brother and I would just hide behind the wall and peek and watch it anyway. She'd see us there watching, all right, Asa, come on out, we'll let you watch Batman. So little old me got to watch Adam West.
Boy, that's pretty late for it to come on. 8 p.m.
Well, you got to remember, I was like in the first grade, so if you're up at 8 o'clock at night watching a television show...
Well, I mean, I thought, I watched Batman when I was a kid, and I thought it came on, like, a lot, well we didn't live in Sacramento.
Well, yeah, it depends. I lived
Yeah.
in Sacramento at that time, so it came on at 8 o'clock p.m. at that time. So if you're in first grade, that's considered kind of being up late, but my
Yeah,
mom would
man.
make an exception, and let me and my brother watch Adam West on that, and of course, well, let's see, they had what I think was George Clooney was one of the Batmans, and Michael Keaton was the first
Yes.
fancy Batman, and I think Ben
Boy, that one's
Affleck
really old,
is
then.
going to be the latest
Yeah.
Batman, I understand.
How would you know that?
Yeah, that was on the world news, and there's been some buzz about him being too old to play the part, but I think he'll be able to cut
Sure.
it. And all the other movies that Ben Affleck's done, I think Batman will be a piece of cake for
You
him.
like it?
Yeah, shut up his critics, I guess,
Yeah.
But, they just didn't have the technology when Adam West was doing that show at the time, so...
What time, can you remember what time it would come on when we lived in California? Because it was newer, sooner than that.
Can't tell,
Yeah.
because I work drawing shifts.
Yeah, well, that's okay. I'm just
Yeah.
saying that show, if you were a kid back then, you loved watching that Batman. And what's fun to me is it may not have all the special effects and the
Yeah.
fancy gadgets, but it was fun.
Yeah.
It was fun watching all those characters on that show. And they had a lot of villains on there. They had all the famous people.
Oh, yeah.
Betty Davis. You know, she was the Black Widow.
Yeah.
I don't think people remember Betty Davis. And what's the actor? Vincent Price was Egghead.
Oh, sure.
Liberace was Shondell.
Yeah.
And he'd be playing the Chopin or whatever, trying to figure out how to kill Batman.
Yeah.
So that was a little amusing to me. And just all the other famous people.
Who was that actor that played the Joker?
Cesar Romero.
Yeah.
Well, what's that other guy?
Well, see, the common villain,
the guy I used to like.
The common villains were Catwoman, and that was played by 3 actresses.
The Riddler.
Lee Merriweather, the model, Miss America in the 50s. She was one of the Catwomans, and Julie Newmar was the other one. And Eartha Kitt, the African-American singer, was the last.
Well, they had just a whole bunch of
Yeah, all those people.
famous actors on
Yeah, and
there.
see, that's what was fun about this original Batman series. They had all the movie stars. What's his name? Cliff Robertson was Shane instead of Shane.
Yeah.
Shane.
Frank
they called it.
Gorshin.
Yeah, Frank Gorshin.
That's what I was trying to remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they
What was
just had
his-
some fun.
What was Frank Gorshin's part? What did they call him?
He was the Riddler. Frank
Oh,
Gorshin,
yeah.
He was the Riddler. And they had a song that went. You remember that? Whenever the bad
Oh, yeah,
guys
right.
came out, I know.
Oh, yeah.
Something like that. It's not really a piano song. But yeah, that was a fun show to watch, and it was always good to see Batman and Robin out with the bad guys on
Yeah.
there. So that's what's fun about that. And of course, now with the Batmans we have today, they're just a little bit more
High tech.
high-tech. That's the right
That's
word,
it,
high-tech. But yeah, if you're, whatever generation you're from, Batman is Batman, so.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, if you were a superhero, who would you want to be? Of all the superheroes like the Flash and Wonder Woman and the Green Lantern and all the rest, who would you want to be if you could be a superhero?
Oh, I imagine. Yes, I remember it. Somebody like a Blue Beetle.
I would want to be a superhero that can fly
Yeah,
myself.
well, that would be Superman.
Yeah, Superman or...
Well, that's before my time, Pots.
Yeah.
Well,
What's a Blue Beetle? I mean, a Volkswagen?
Well, actually, there's a couple of cartoons that might be technically before your time. Do you remember Fearless Fly? They had this model that said, insecticide cannot stop him. A
Oh,
fly
yeah,
swatter
okay.
cannot stop
Yeah.
him. There's this big fly swatter. And
Yeah,
they just
I
go right
remember that,
through.
yeah.
And he had these big glasses. I wrote about this character in my autobiography, Fearless Fly. He had
Yeah.
these huge glasses, which was the secret of his strength. And when the bad guys, every week they'd just reach over and take the glasses off, and he'd get weak. It was a silly cartoon, but it was fun. But, and then there were other characters like Mighty Mouse, Adamant, Secret
Oh, yeah.
Squirrel. I don't think anybody will remember
What was
those
that?
characters.
What was that one where he was a mouse or something? Or
Mighty Mouse?
No, it was
Is that
something else. Speedy Gonzales.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, yes, I remember that.
Arriba, arriba,
You know,
andale, andale.
One of the funniest Speedy Gonzales cartoons I saw, you know the cat was always trying to catch the
Yeah.
mouse, and you know the mouse was like the fastest mouse in Mexico.
In the world, yeah.
So finally the cat gets frustrated and says, well, if I can't get the fastest mouse, I'll get the slowest mouse. So he goes after the slowest mouse, and he's like all humped over and just walks like a turtle, right? And so Speedy and all the other cartoon characters said, don't mess with that mouse, leave him alone, don't go there, you know?
What happened?
And so this mouse pulls out this big bazooka cannon, and he goes, and he blows the fur off the cat. That was so funny. And so that's why nobody messed with him. He was the slowest mouse in Mexico, but he pulled out this bazooka gun.
yeah.
So I think the cat was better off trying to get Speedy Gonzales. So, but they don't make cartoons like that anymore. All those.
That reminds me of your story about this guy named Sherman.
Oh yeah.
The bazooka, huh?
Yeah, he pulled out this. He was like this tiny little mouse, and he pulls out like this big bazooka, like make Clint Eastwood's gun look like a little toy. Go ahead, make my day. And he blew the fur off the cat, and he just starts walking like a turtle again. But from Batman to cartoons, it's a different era now. They don't do stuff like that anymore. So that's why I want to try to do something if I can.
It's still pretty amazing how the new computer cartoons or, there's a lot of, it looks real or something,
Yeah,
the digital,
I know it.
and
I had
it's
a
amazing,
tour.
it looks
I
like-
once had a tour of the real Hanna-Barbera studio in California years ago. The organization that does like the Flintstones and Scooby-Doo and all those other characters. And at that time they took me on this hallway where they had these big portrait pictures, and you can see like Wilma and Fred and Barney and all the rest of them. And at that time they would hand sketch those cartoons,
Yeah, it would take them a long
frame by
time.
frame. And of course now we have the computer age, so I think the processes are quicker and probably even a little bit more efficient too. So
Yeah.
But I don't know if that Hanna-Barbera studio is still up there in California, but I did get to tour that once when they did cartoons the old-fashioned way. And that was a long time ago. Well, let me do one last half of a song, and we're going to conclude with this version of Asaph Cafe with Mike and his father, Milton. And again, I hope you'll tune in for this new Lawrence Welk show coming up October 29th, and we'll see what happens. And on behalf of my guest today, and on behalf of this new Lawrence Welk show, until our next show, Maranatha.